Stacking Adventures podcast. She is Crystal.
And I'm Joe.
She's
Joe.
both. I'm nobody.
He's Joe.
It is so funny. Big thanks to both Crystal and Cosette for if you guys knew what it took for us to get this scheduled because of me. Thank goodness
because we love you.
Both of your flexibility. Oh my goodness. So we're about to hear from Cosette about Japan. And you're going to hear the raw recording. You'll actually hear this on the finished podcast episode next Tuesday. But if you are here and you're with us and you've got questions about Japan or want to comment, feel free to join the show by just putting something in the chat and we'd love to involve you. So I think unless Crystal, you've got something else, we'll just get rolling.
Let's roll. Let's get this show on the road.
Here we go. All right.
Call me Butter and put me on a roll. Yeah. Oh no, call me Butter because I'm on a roll. Trying to keep up with Joe's corner.
That's so bad. Yeah, and you make fun of my humor.
It is tough.
You make fun of my humor. No,
tough.
Keep making fun of me and then roll out that stuff. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Crystal, a friend's asked you to go on a trip halfway around the world and you didn't have to plan any of it. Would you go?
I wouldn't even let them finish the sentence before I would say yes.
You're already throwing your bags in the back of their car.
Yes, like I'm ready.
And what if it was for you to go back to Japan again?
Yes. Yes. H-E double hockey sticks. Yes.
So from Hiroshima, or is it Hiroshima? We'll ask our guest, to Tokyo with a stop in Korea. Adventurer Cosette flew from the USA halfway around the world, and we're going to hear about it today.
I am beyond excited. Like, this is like talking about Japan is like, for me, is like Joe talking about board games.
It's about you listening to stories of my board games, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes,
I know.
Please. And then at the end of this episode and every episode, you are going to hear our gear of the day pick. So if you're looking for best in class gear that's worth the price, head to our Amazon page at stackingadventures.com/GOTD. You'll help the show and help yourself adventure better and for less money. Now I say, let's get the show on the road.
You don't have to say, now I say it. You just say it.
Oh, I just say it.
All right. Music comes up. Music goes back down. Welcome to the Stacking Adventures podcast. Every adventure here has. Oh, let's do that again.
Rewind.
Welcome to the Stacking Adventures podcast. Every adventure has a story. And today we're going to hear a story about Korea and about Japan with Adventure Cosette.
See, all right. We need
with here we go. With Adventure Cosette. Super happy, Crystal. You buckled in, ready to go?
Yes. Well, no, I'm not buckled in. I'm just ready to go.
Let's do it. Cosette, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Joe?
I'm
Crystal?
great now that you're here. And I can't, we saw the pictures. You were nice enough to share photos of your time in Japan and talk about somebody that looked like they were having a blast. It clearly looked like you had a great time.
Oh, yeah. You look like you're ready to come home.
Yeah, it was definitely a trip of a lifetime. Too many memorable events to even, it took me a while. It took me a few weeks to even sort through what I even did.
That's so cool. So tell us about the trip. How did you end up going on this adventure?
Well, it was kind of weird because my brother and his new wife had told me that they were planning on going to Japan, and that was it. Like, and they travel all the time everywhere. So I just kind of knew that they were going. And one day I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I could go along with them to Japan. And literally that night, my brother texted me. I was like, so you want to go for 15 days to Japan? And I was like, what? And I was in a bar, which it's kind of underground, so we don't really get a lot of cell service. So I ran all the way back up to surface level. And I just
yes.
I just need to figure out if I can get off because it was one of our really busy seasons for work. So I was like, yes, I do. Let me figure out how to make this happen. But absolutely.
Wow.
How long
So
until, wait a minute, how long until the trip was going to happen though, Cosette?
It was only like a month out. It might have been just a smidge less than a month.
Wow.
How do you take 2 weeks off work a month before?
Well, I am a server. So the best part of my job is that it's flexible.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I also live in Phoenix, so our busy season is during the winter. And so
Sure.
you want to work as much as you can to make all the money to last the whole year. And it was one of our busiest months that I needed to leave for, but I was like, I have the money saved, and how do you pass that up? I have to go to
That's
Japan.
true. And
I
a lot
love
of
that.
people, yeah, even for the 1 month, because they're like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna find a reasonable flight for that this late
Mm.
notice. Like, 'cause some people like, all right, should I book way in advance or should I wait? So what was the over under on your flight, you would say?
Well, I mean, I just got to booking it right away, and I knew it was going to be expensive anyway.
Okay.
And my brother and Jenna, his wife, had just booked not too long before that.
Oh, good.
So I just kind of like, they just told me when and where. And so I just kind of looked up the cheapest flights on Google that I could find. And luckily I got Delta on the way out. Unfortunately, I got United on the way back, which is
You're
my
not a
least
United
favorite.
fan.
I hate United. Hate it.
Oh,
Delta's
She's
my
u-
favorite though, but
okay.
I also paid the extra money to make sure that I could actually secure a seat ahead of time, because I was not
Oh,
going to try and sit in the middle for a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
So it cost me a good probably $1,700 for my flights, but
okay. That's
I knew
not
what I was paying
horrible.
for.
Yeah.
Crystal is one of the only people I know who likes sitting in the middle on
I
those
know. It's
long
like,
flights.
what's wrong with the
No.
middle? It's like I've done it. Dubai, I was in the
Oh,
middle. I
Crystal
didn't
likes
mind it.
stretching out, making new
And
friends.
I'm super tall
No.
too,
She
but I
is.
didn't mind. I don't mind it.
She is. I'm with you,
How do you
Cosette.
do
No, thank
that?
you. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
No,
So-
I'm 5'8", and it's too
see,
crowded for me.
yeah,
I
I'm
need the aisle.
5'10". I'm 5'10".
Yeah, so you went. I like the window on those long flights just so I can lay my head against the side of the plane.
I was looking up. I actually looked up the plane and how it was, because sometimes in the directory it doesn't. You can't really tell. So I actually went to the far back where they had 4 seats in front and then only 3 behind it, and I got that aisle seat on the last 3. So it had like this extra little
Oh,
room,
sweet.
space.
Side space.
So I was like, score. On the way back, it was still another aisle seat, but we'll talk about it later. But it was a very good idea for me to have an aisle seat next to the bathroom. I can tell
Oh
you that.
no, no.
Oh
So
man.
I don't know that I
it
like
was
that
worth every
foreshadowing.
penny. Oh no, it was not good.
All right. So was it direct out of Phoenix or like Phoenix to LA and then somewhere else?
It was Phoenix to Seattle, and then we arrived in Korea, Incheon. And then on the way back, I flew in with my brother and Jenna to San Francisco, and then back here.
Gotcha. All right. So you got your tickets, you're ready to go. You wrote us that you use Google Flights to look up different prices to make sure you got a great flight at a great price. And I don't know that I know any place better than that to look.
Yep.
So
Same.
you arrive in Korea. Were you able to sleep on the plane?
Yes, I
That-
did a pretty good job sleeping. Yeah,
That's good.
I
Is
also
there,
got up a lot, moved around a lot.
that's what I was going to ask Cosette. Is there a method? Is there a strategy you use when trying to sleep on the plane, especially if you're in economy? Man, I have a hard time sleeping on the plane.
I actually found a neck pillow. I keep trying neck pillows and they all are just terrible.
I
My
hate
head
them too.
slumps
Crystal
forward
loves
or
them.
I
whatever.
love them. Yeah.
Well, I
wear
found
them.
one that actually works. I got onto Amazon and did some, like stalking of
Stellar.
reviews and things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I actually found one that you can wrap around you, and like there's Velcro, and so it
Oh.
kind of keeps your head up. And it worked great.
Okay.
I
So,
know the
I
one
don't
that
really
you're
have a problem.
talking about, Cosette, and Cheryl got it for our last trip and couldn't make it work. She's like, I just
Interesting.
can't. She's like, this thing has so many great reviews. And to your point, that one with the Velcro has a ton of great reviews. And I see so many
Mhm.
people love it, and she couldn't make it work, which was pretty wild. But I guess it's going to be different for everybody. Okay. So you get to Korea. Paint us a picture. I've never been. Crystal, have you been to Korea?
No. that's
I've
on my
never been to
list.
Korea. Tell us about getting off the
Yeah.
plane in Korea and take us on a Korean adventure, Cosette.
Well, I have been to Korea before. I was actually stationed there when I was in the military. So
Oh.
I wasn't too scared of getting there because I know that a lot of things are in English and written in English. Um, but so uh, my brother Garrett and his wife Jenna were on a different flight, obviously. So I just thought I came in through customs. It was a breeze. There were barely any people there. Came through, was hanging out, and I know that my brother had like landed about the same time. So I was texting him and I was like, "Where are you?" And they're like, "Well, we're still in line for customs." And I was like, "Really? Because there's nobody there. What's going on?"
Hmm.
Um, so I went to where they told me they were, and it was crickets. There was nobody there. I'm like, what is going on? Well, I realized that I landed in Terminal 1. They landed in Terminal 2. And so
Okay.
I had to figure out how to use their like train and subway system.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was so lost. I was not prepared
Oh.
for that because my brother and Jenna had been prepared. So I was just going to kind of leave off of their knowledge. And then I had an eSIM and that wasn't working very well. And my card
Yeah.
wasn't working to buy a ticket. So I was like, I don't know how to get to you guys. I have no clue how to get to where you are. So finally I figured it out and I was able to take the train just to their terminal and meet up with them. But I was like, geez, right in the country right away. You know, when you get in there in the military, somebody's there to meet you. They pick
Yeah.
you up. They take
Right.
you where you're supposed to go. They tell you what's going on. And I
Yeah.
had no clue what was happening.
So it sounds like the
So yeah, that was
signage
my
at the
first
air,
snafu.
the signage in the airport, not great.
It wasn't so much the signage, it's so overwhelming because there's so much stuff going on. So
Mhm.
I at least was able to get to where I needed to be. I just wasn't exactly sure because they have like kiosks for bus tickets, kiosks for subway tickets, kiosks for train tickets, and I
Oh.
needed to know where to go and then which ones to get. And it was just about finding that out. And when I finally figured it out, then my card wasn't working.
Oh
So
goodness.
I just had to keep trying and I finally made it on there and I finally met up with him. I was like, oh God, thank God. People I know. We can be lost together.
And I know now it seems like nobody uses cash anymore. So you were
Mhm.
dependent on card for everything. Because I know sometimes I'll get some cash while at the airport at the whatever terminal they have, but no.
Well, there wasn't a need to because it was all pretty much cashless. And I
Right.
just used Apple Pay most of the time that I was there. When I did meet up with my brother and Jenna, we did stop somewhere to get some cash out for them. I had I had cash, but it was in US dollars, and I wasn't sure if I was going to use it or not. And I figured whenever I need to use it, that's when I'll kind of figure out the ATM or whatever
Mhm.
I need to
Okay.
figure out. So
And never had to.
yeah, I did not use very much cash at
Okay.
all,
Yeah.
and I was the first one to switch mine over, and then we just kind of used whatever I had among the three of
Okay.
us. And then when I ran out, then they kind of got their own cash, and it's a good thing to go with your brother, you know.
Yeah, it is.
He's
It is.
Beautiful.
your little brother, and you can kind of boss him around a little bit.
Nice.
Give me money.
Oh, that
Perfect.
was nice.
I need cash, little brother.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
in Korea, do you find I mean you've been there before, so do most people speak English or do you know some Korean from when you were there before?
A lot of them do learn English in school, and then you also have a lot of them that when it's military service is mandatory there for like a couple of years, so most of them will go in, and the best job in the military is to work with our military. So a lot of them learn English that way as well. So you can find a lot of people who know English. And there's also just like helpful people standing around the subway system too. And we found a guy who was like he spoke fluent English, and we were kind of lost in where we were going, and he was able to point the way to what we needed to do, and it was pretty easy.
That's super. Okay, so you're out of the airport now. You find your brother and
Right.
your sister-in-law. Tell us about what you saw in Korea.
um Again, it wasn't a surprise to me, but it's just the difference between our culture and theirs is just so different, and everything is just so big and bright, and I, it, it's just kind of overwhelming and crazy. And then I was in Seoul, Korea, so it's way bigger than any
Mm.
city that I really have been in here. I mean, I've been in LA, but it just doesn't seem as big, I guess. So you're just walking around, there's just people everywhere, and you can very easily navigate. Like we used pretty much maps for most of it, and we were able to navigate our way through the subway systems and get to our hotel room. But yeah, it was just kind of walking around with the crowd mostly.
How is a Korean hotel?
Well, the first one that we had, it was more of like a hostel, but you got your own room. And I
Ooh.
will say that with all of the hotel rooms and all the places that we stayed, they all had your toiletries. They had razors. They had clothes for you to sleep in.
Wow.
Yeah,
The first
wow.
place we got gave us condoms. You know,
Hey,
we
just in
really didn't have
case.
to take anything. Yeah.
I love it.
When I got there, I
If you
sat
meet
down on
some
my stuff
locals.
and- yeah, yeah. I mean, you can be ready for
Or
anything.
for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know.
What were the
If you're not
prices
ready to make
like?
babies. Well, so
the
I think the
hostel?
first night, I actually have it here. I want to say it was like $600 for 2 rooms for 2 nights.
Okay.
And they were actually pretty decent rooms. I mean, they're not like huge rooms like US rooms at all. I got like a double bed, really big TV, and the bathroom is like pretty much, it was a walk-in bathroom and then like shower, toilet, all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty decent size.
So it's $150 a night per
Yeah.
room.
And
If
that's
I'm
the
doing the math
hostel.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was because we each got our own rooms.
Right.
Gotcha. When I just looked up Seoul, almost 3 times bigger than Los Angeles,
Wow.
nearly 3 times bigger.
It's huge. It's absolutely
Gigantic.
huge.
Over 9 million people live in Seoul.
Oh
That
my
is-
goodness.
That is just crazy. So sounds like a cool place. You go back there. You would stay at that type of place again, like a hostel?
Yeah, because it wasn't super hostily. You know,
Right,
I
that
had my own
doesn't
room, so I could
sound-
actually
yeah.
sleep. I didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about, sleeping around 15 other people.
Sure.
someone
Securing
snoring.
all your stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking though,
I'm
if
not
that's
good with that anymore.
if that's a hostel, Cosette, I'm just thinking about I mean, a full blown hotel would be very expensive then, I would think, in Seoul.
I think it depends on where you want to be. Jenna is the one who did she did kind of all the homework for this, and she booked
Okay.
everything for us. And her thought
Nice.
was she wanted to stay at all the places that were like right off of a subway station
Nice.
or like close to the things that we needed, especially for travel. So I don't know, like Korea is actually not that expensive. So I don't know if we just found a place that just happened to be that expensive because of the location.
Yeah.
But nothing else there is really all that expensive. Japan is definitely much more expensive than Korea is.
We have VT hanging out with us live on YouTube, and I've never had a comment like VT's comment. VT might be oversharing when
Little bit.
VT says, "Hello, I love
Yeah.
Korea. I'm watching this while I poop."
Yeah.
I've never.
Thanks.
I hope everything comes out
Thanks for
okay,
bringing
VT.
us- Oh,
That is
I hope you have a bidet.
Look before you flush.
that is fantastic. So VT asked if we would respond to their questions, and the answer you just saw it, VT.
Yeah, I said,
Absolutely.
uh-huh.
But VT has a great question. Speaking of poop, and that is, as you know, man, those Japanese toilets that are amazing,
Oh, yeah.
right? First time I ever
Yes.
sat on a Japanese toilet was at the airport. Was at the Harita airport, and that thing was incredible.
Yeah.
It was warm.
Was it warm?
It was warm. It played a little song while it
Oh, I
flushed.
forgot about that.
Like
Definitely
this thing
does.
was amazing. And I used to listen to this podcast with this guy, Major Nelson, and he would go on and on about the toilets in Japan. I'm like, they're not that big a
Yeah.
deal. Then
They
after
are.
that day, I was like, they are a big deal. But VT wants to know, are the Korean toilets as nice as the Japanese toilets?
No. Korea itself, I believe, is kind of behind Japan a lot with that kind of stuff. And you'd actually see more of the Eastern toilets there. I mean, we didn't see so many when I was there this last time visiting, but when I lived there before, you'll go in and you'll have maybe like 3 or 4 Western style toilets. And then the rest will be like the Eastern style that just have the hole in the ground, like
Yeah.
the
Wow.
ceramic hole in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
ground. So, I mean, they're a little bit more westernized, but they are not to the toilet scale of Japan.
I don't think anybody
They haven't
is.
gotten there.
We
No.
we are not worthy. All right. Any tourist attractions we should see that you saw
Yes.
with your brother and sister-in-law while you were in Korea?
Well, 100%. I think everybody needs to go to the DMZ. Just alone, just for the history of it and to understand it. I will say that when I lived there, though, you could do a lot more things there, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to go back then, because now you can't. There are these buildings that used to be able to go in that straddle North and South Korea,
Right.
and just kind of see where their meetings take place and things like that.
Oh.
Cool stories behind those too. You can't do that anymore because, unfortunately, a U.S. soldier a few years ago defected
That's
to North
right.
Korea when he was on one of those tours. So now you can't do that.
Goodness.
And then we were there. You kind of go up to the border, and there's this building there that you can usually go out onto this huge balcony, and they have binoculars that you can look through, and you can see the city in North Korea, it's all propaganda. It's fake. So you can look in there and see that like it's a fake window, or like fake
Huh.
windows, but they light it up from inside, and it's kind of creepy and kind of cool at the same time. But um, North Korea told them, if you let anybody else go out on this balcony and look at us through binoculars, we'll shoot them. So now we can't
Really?
go out there. Yeah.
No
So our
thanks.
tour guide actually brought his own binoculars. So when we were inside the building, he's like, you can look out through the window with our binoculars and look. But it was just, there's so much smog and stuff from China that you really, really had to look, and you could maybe see the flag, which it's a gigantic flag, but you could barely see it. But so it kind of sucks that Garrett and Jenna didn't quite get the experience that I got when I saw it the first time. But I still think it kind of needs to be seen. You get to go down in this one of their tunnels that they had dug to go from underneath North Korea and up into South Korea.
Wow.
But these were made for little people, and we are not little people. So you have these helmets on and you're ducking, and numerous times my brother hit his head because you forget that you need to keep ducking, and you'll stand up and bam. But
Oh.
it's definitely something that I feel like everybody needs to do for sure.
I went through some of the Viet Cong tunnels when we were in Vietnam, and I was so
Oh.
claustrophobic. I was just
Oh, yeah.
so claustrophobic. And luckily,
Those are little.
yeah. And then we get to some of the rooms they had in there. They would have these rooms, and they'd have mannequins set up showing how people lived in the tunnels. And I was so happy we get to a room. But between those rooms, I just had to remember to keep breathing and keep moving because they were tiny. I can't imagine going through any of those tunnels. Like, no, thanks. So that's Korea. Anything else we need to see while we're in Korea?
So we went to a night market where it was just, there's a big shopping area, and it's kind of like outdoor shopping. And then in all the walkways, they have all the stalls with like all the different kinds of foods. And they are leaning pretty hard into, what's the Korean show that everybody's into? Squid Games.
Squid Games.
So they
yeah.
actually,
Goodness.
in a lot of the stalls, they have the little.
So a few people had to
candy
die while you were
things.
there?
Oh yeah, my brother didn't come back.
Started the trip. Sorry, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, they had to get like dressed in the whole like pink outfit and playing the games with somebody. So yeah,
Huh.
they're leaning pretty hard into it. It was pretty cool.
That is
And
that
what
is
about
cool.
the food? Yeah, anything we should try or you tried? that you
So
loved?
I will say before I go any further that I don't eat meat, which
Okay.
I probably should
Fair.
have started before I went just so I could eat more. But I mean, so my brother and Jenna obviously tried a lot of the food and they liked it. I got some pretty good potatoes and things like that. They do it's kind of like s'mores where it's like frozen ice cream on the inside and then they blowtorch a marshmallow on the outside.
Wow.
So I ate a lot of sugar when I was there because their treats are just amazing. And me and my brother have a huge sweet tooth. So we had
I
a
do too.
lot of that kind of stuff. And it was just really cool. Just, the markets, and they're all like frying stuff up for you, and all the weird little things that you don't see here, like all the squid on a stick and stuff like that.
Interesting.
A friend of mine
It was
really
delicious.
likes
Everything I had.
a friend of mine
Ooh.
really likes kimchi who lived there. Really like kimchi. I tried kimchi when we were in Southeast Asia, and certainly so then I wasn't at the home of it like Korea would be, but I didn't love it. Didn't.
So the first time I was there, when I was actually living there, we went out with a couple of Katusa, that's their military that's assigned to us.
Oh,
And this is when I did eat meat. So I was out there eating Korean barbecue, and I tried some kimchi, and I was like, I don't know. I don't like this. And I was like, okay, I've tried it before. And I asked the Katusa guy, I was like, should I try it again just to make sure? And he's like, nah. And I did. For some reason, I didn't listen to him. And I'm like, that's kind of stupid. So when we were back out this time, I made sure to try it again. And actually, it wasn't so bad.
Really?
The stuff that
I
I had
like it
like
on
in
other stuff.
You do
yeah,
like
you
it,
have to
Kristen.
have it with other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I love it
absolutely.
with other
Yeah.
stuff.
But I don't know if it's just because I've aged considerably since I was there before, or
Taste buds.
I
have
don't
grown.
know. But it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't like amazing. It was just more of like a condiment, I guess.
Right.
Kinda,
Like
right? It kinda just goes with
sauerkraut.
something else. Yeah,
It's a
and I
cousin
love
of
sauerkraut.
kraut.
My
Yeah,
people
me
are
too.
German. I've grown up on
Ah.
sauerkraut, so
Because that's contractually obligated to like sauerkraut if she's
yes, I
from a
am.
German
I am.
family. Like you can't say no to
Mhm.
that.
No.
So you leave, you say goodbye to Korea, and you head for Japan. How long a flight is it from Korea to Japan? Well, it's
I don't
Hiroshima,
actually
right? Is it
remember. I
Hiroshima or
wanna s-
Hiroshima?
we
Which
went
one do we
to
say, guys?
I think it's Hiroshima
Okay.
I think
or
so too.
Hiroshima or now I
I-
don't know.
I've just heard it
That's
pronounced
one of
both
those
ways.
things you say it enough, and I can't remember.
You
I don't
hear it
even know if
both
I
ways. So I guess we'll call it Hiroshima
Yeah.
for now. But how long? Now, and that's south in Japan. So you're going from further north, much further south.
Yeah, so I was trying to convince my brother to take a train ride all the way down to Daegu, which is the very south
Ooh.
of Korea, because that's there's a lot of cool things down there too. But he just wanted to fly. So I want to say it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I can't remember.
Okay. And you land in
It wasn't that bad,
Japan.
though.
That's quick.
You land in Japan. Is this your first time in Japan then?
It's my first time in Japan. Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. So paint us a picture. You get off the plane in Hiroshima. Tell us about Japan.
Well, Japan, like I kind of thought it would be about the same as Korea, but it's not. It's just so much, I guess, cleaner and sparklier and newer feeling. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to say about a country, but it's kind of just everything was. They don't have trash cans, which if you do like your homework before you leave, a
Yep.
lot of people will
Yeah.
tell you they don't have trash cans and you need to carry your trash. So I was used to, I mean, I knew that would be the way, but like if that happened here and you didn't have a trash can, you just have trash all over the floor. Where people
All
walk
over the
through it.
place.
Yeah.
But everything is so nice and neat and clean, and pretty much all of the travel that was done was dictated by Jenna and Garrett, because they kind of knew where we were going. They knew what needed to be done, so they were just on their phones doing it. So I just kind of went along, which I am more of a navigator and I like to be in charge. So I was kind of just like letting myself be uncomfortable and be taken. But they found us a bus ride out to the Peace Memorial, which is where we kind of wanted to go. We had decided against spending more than a day there. It was kind of just like a layover before we went to Kyoto for the night.
What is the Peace Memorial? People won't know what that is. What is it?
So it's from the bombing of Hiroshima.
Okay.
So it's a whole, instead of making it a war memorial, they wanted to make it a peace memorial to kind of show like what happens with this kind of destruction. And it's all about like, we want peace. We don't want this to happen to other countries again. So they actually left one of the bombed out dome, a very well-known dome. They just left it as it is and they never reconstructed it. So that's still all bombed out there. And then the whole memorial is just, it's essentially like a museum. So it's got like all of the clothes and all the pictures and just kind of memorials and testaments to the people that went through the whole thing.
That's
And-
got to
and
be a
it's-
pit in your stomach kind of day.
Well, it's not only that, but it was a little bit different than being at like a museum like that maybe here. It was like it was
Damn.
dead silent. There were so many people in there. It was very, very full of people. Yet at the same time, you didn't really feel crowded because it
Yeah.
was just so quiet and you could just hear people crying. It was
Wow.
crazy.
How many of
Yeah.
those
So it
people do
was
you think
definitely
were?
somber.
Yeah, how many? What percentage of people do you think were American?
I don't know about American, but I'm gonna say that most of them were not Japanese.
Oh,
Yeah,
Like you could tell that it was a lot of people
a lot
who
of tourists.
oh yeah, just
I fo-
visiting Japan and that
I
it,
found
so
when we went to Vietnam in Saigon, they had a museum. It was an optional trip on the tour that I was on, but it was a trip to a museum called the Museum uh, of the War of American Aggression, which is what they call the
Mm.
Vietnam War, the War of American Aggression. and,
Wow.
and so we went to the museum, and and it is wild because, from my dad fought in Vietnam, his best friend fought in Vietnam, and you see
Mm.
everything from the American point of view, and then seeing it from the other side, the other point of
oh
view.
yeah.
Photos of American service people pushing Vietnamese people out of helicopters at a height where they're going to
Oh
die.
man.
Pictures of
Hmm.
people that just have all of these horrible things because of Agent Orange. Just
Oh yeah.
all kinds of. It was, again, very, very, very silent. And to your point, Cosette, even in Vietnam, not many Vietnamese people there. Most of the
Hmm.
people there were from different places.
Yeah. And I think that's what they want to encourage out there is like if you're visiting, please come and see this.
Sure.
And they're not you can tell that they don't blame the United States for that at all. They kind of blame themselves a little bit and they want to make sure that it doesn't
Wow.
happen again.
That's funny. That's the feeling I got in Vietnam. Is I couldn't believe how much people loved us. I mean, people liked us everywhere, and it was really explained to me really well that the Chinese control the river and were right there, in the United States halfway
Mhm.
around the world. At some point, the U.S. was going to have to withdraw. So, which country are you going to align with? The one that's going to be your neighbor forever, or the one that is halfway around the world? And then,
Hmm.
halfway
Mhm.
around the world then is a lot different than it is now. Wow. But so you started off with a kick in the gut. Like you
Yeah,
you you get to
absolutely.
you get to Japan, you're like, what's fun? Let's go talk
Yeah.
about the bombing.
Yeah, first the
And
DMZ
see it.
and
Yeah.
then
Well, what's
Hiroshima.
the
Yeah.
DMZ?
You know how to have a good
So
time.
DMZ, oh yeah, for sure. DMZ stands for demilitarized zone. So it's because
Wow.
the North Korea and South Korea are technically still at war. They're only under an
Right.
armistice, but the DMZ is this little band on either side of their border where you cannot have any military and they can only have one city each. So South Korea has one and then North Korea has one, and that's the one that's all propaganda. It's like a fake city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Interesting.
that's both war related, both, yeah,
I
lots and
forgot we
lots
didn't
of,
explain, Crystal. I'm glad you asked that, because there might be other
yeah,
people going, what
yeah,
the hell's
thank
Right.
you.
What's the
DMZ?
Yeah.
DMZ?
Yeah.
Like a
Hmm.
driver's license? Uh-huh. Their version.
oh, wouldn't that be great?
It's
Yeah, we
about the
went to
same. It's about the same.
equally as tedious. All right. So you get done with the Peace Memorial. What do you do then?
Well, um, see, my brother, he is an adventure guy. He doesn't like to sit still. So he had wanted to
Yeah.
go on either a bike ride or a hike. And so I tried to convince him to stay another day there so that we could do that and we didn't have to worry about rushing to Kyoto. But
Sure.
in the end, I guess they decided they didn't want to do that. But we decided then to get on this little boat trip. It was just like a little cruise down the river. And we had kind of come there to see the sakura or like the cherry blossoms, but we got there just probably a week too early.
Oh
So
no.
when we were, I mean, once you see one, you see, I don't know that I needed to see them for 2 weeks because they did start to bloom as the trip went on. We got to see some of them. So I mean, I was just glad to be there, really. But we did
True.
go down one of the rivers, and they gave us a little, little tour of like what's new, what's old, what was bombed, what was put in its place, and like how Hiroshima is now. And so we're going along the river where all these sakura trees are, and like they all have like teeny
Wow.
tiny little buds on them. Like, oh, that one might be blooming soon. Oh, that one might be blooming soon. We were kind of getting excited to see if we could find any that weren't blooming. But one thing that I will say about Hiroshima is that it was just the feel and the vibe of the city was so cool and so
Yeah.
relaxed. And I don't know what it was, but it was just, my brother was like, wow, I really like this place.
That's
And
funny,
I don't know if
Cosette.
it's just the people or what. It was great.
Yeah, my daughter was not that far away. So when she and her boyfriend would do getaways, they would go sometimes to Hiroshima, and she said the same thing. She was like, this is just a great city. Just a really,
It
really,
is.
really cool
Yeah.
vibe. You
Mhm.
wrote to us ahead of time that it was colder there than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, we went there knowing it was going to be cold, and it kind of looked like it was going to be rainy the whole time.
In what month?
Actually, at that time, we were there. Where were we? The end of April, we were there.
Okay.
But actually, the first part of the trip was warmer than we expected it to be. So me and Jenna were actually mad. We're like, oh, we packed way too much, which will come in later that we actually did not pack too much. Probably could have packed more. But at that time, it was actually warmer than we were expecting, which was kind of nice. So I mean, I'm from the desert. I freeze no matter where I go, pretty much. So I was definitely bundled up, and we were all in like jackets and hoodies and jeans the whole time for sure. So it wasn't warm.
How tough is it then to get a train ticket to Kyoto? And I think this will be our last question, Crystal, before we go to the break. But how is it difficult to navigate the train system?
No, it's actually really easy. I mean, I take that with a grain of salt because it wasn't me doing any of the planning.
It was super. Have your brother do it.
For me, it was great. It's Jenna, go buy the ticket. But
Perfect.
pretty much you just wait in line, and you go up to a kiosk, and you order tickets. We took the Shinkansen, which is known as the bullet train, which I was kind of excited about because you hear about how fast they go, and they really are. You can't even tell that you're going very fast at all, and they're super smooth and very quiet. But pretty much you go up to there, and you just like kind of book whatever car you want to be in, and it will even tell you like which ones are fuller than others or more full. Geez, I don't know English, I guess.
I think it's be more full.
But yeah, so be more full. But yeah, it'll show you on there like how many, like, oh, this one's kind of full, this one's not so full. And so they would just go up there and just book the tickets and Apple Pay the whole way. So it was pretty easy.
Yeah, it was almost like a roller coaster, and it did. Like when you look out of the window, it looks fake because the buildings they fly by so fast. Like that is really
if you're
cool.
looking really far out, it doesn't look like you're moving. But if you like, I was looking right next to the tracks, and you're like, everything was going so fast. You're like, wow, we are going fast, but it doesn't feel like it at all.
Right? Yeah.
All right, Crystal, it is the halfway point.
Yes, it is. And we have more comments in the chat too.
Excellent.
We have a chatty group tonight.
Are you going to read the pit stop?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I don't know if we're going to do the what you call them is the chat. All right, Joe. We're halfway through today's show, so I think it's time for the road trip pit stop. And on the pit stop, you're always dreaming about what's at the end of the adventure. How cool will it be when we get there? And you're asking over and over, are we there yet? But our pit stop is a hint at our gear of the day. And you can see our past gear of the day at stackingadventures.com/GOTD. But today, Cosette has our gear. So, Cosette, can you please give us a hint of what is our special gear?
I will give you a clue, and I'm not going to elaborate.
Okay.
It keeps you energized.
It keeps you energized. All right. I think I have an idea. Crystal, do you have an idea?
Yes.
All right. We will reveal what our guesses are right after our messages. We got a couple sponsors that make this keep on keeping on, and it's all free hearing
Yes.
about Cosette's adventure. So let's hear from them, and then we'll hear from Crystal and I with our guesses, and then we're going to wander north to Kyoto and then to Tokyo. All right. 3, 2, 1. Crystal, it keeps you energized. What do you think it is?
Well, it can't be the focus spray. Like I have one time I had my focus spray and I sprayed it.
A focus spray?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's actually some essential oils, and they say it helps with focus.
Okay.
I wish
You
I
did-
were kidding.
I mean, I know exactly what that
Actually
is, and you
have
might
it.
be right.
yeah.
see.
Yeah. I'm sure that you're exactly right.
That's unfocused.
100% right. As
unfocused.
Cosette shakes her head no, like I got no idea. I think it's gonna be some type of power bank. It'll be some kind of power bank.
Power bank. I
Yeah.
would say like some kind of power. Well, not power bars. I was thinking more like some kind of essential oil, though, kind of like a spray.
All right. Well, those are ours.
don't
We're gonna hear
know.
from Cosette what the gear of the day
Terrible guess.
is in a little bit. We've got a chatty group hanging out with us on YouTube.
Thank
So
you.
Jay, people commenting on kimchi. Apparently, Cosette, you and I are in the minority here
Yes.
because
I know.
J
I know.
Dubs says kimchi's the bee's knees. And Leisure Enthusiast says kimchi rules. And then said pair that with some.
I don't know. Samik?
So make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you had that, Cosette?
Well,
So
clearly
make.
nobody had it.
I don't think
None of
so.
us had it.
And then also Leisure Enthusiast says, my cousin was in the military and he said the food in K-Town, LA is orders of magnitude better. So
Interesting.
you get better food in LA than you do in South Korea.
Yeah. I actually
right.
I wasn't a big fan of the Korean food. I realized that when I was over there in the military, I did a lot of eating ramen when I was there, but it was more of like Americanized because it was right outside of our base. So when I was there actually in Seoul, like eating all the time, I was
Mhm.
like, I don't think I like this very much, especially not when I don't eat meat, because you
Yeah.
can't have Korean barbecue, which that's what I liked before. So
That's the VIP.
Yeah, the Korean barbecue we
Yeah.
had in there's a little Korean area in Cleveland. I went with my niece there one time and did the whole Korean barbecue experience where you put your
I
own
like
meat
it.
on the grill, and
Mhm.
that was so fun. And VT says it's and I'm not sure which one it is, but he says it's HIROSHIMA,
Oh,
not
he says it twice.
not HIROSHIMA. So we have it's Hiroshima, not Hiroshima, or maybe it's
Cool.
Hiroshima, not Hiroshima. VT is really helping us today.
Yeah.
VT, who's
whatever
hanging out
I've been
with
saying
us.
this whole time, that's how you pronounce it.
There you go.
Oh, and Leisure Enthusiast says that is beer plus soju.
Soju.
I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in. You had me at
Okay.
beer. Had me at beer. Yes. All right. So you get on the train, you're on the bullet train, and you head to Kyoto. I mean, this is a place that everybody goes to when they first go to Japan. So was Kyoto the bee's knees, to put it the way that I think it was
You
Jay?
say Kyoto.
Kyoto. Yeah,
Kyoto.
Kyoto. Yeah.
Kyoto.
We stayed, it was good. We did a lot of exploring. This is one of the places where we only had one room and the three of us stayed together because it was a little bit more expensive. And Jenna was trying to keep all of our rooming to $150 a night or somewhere around there.
Nice.
I think that might be
So,
tough in some parts of Japan, especially a place like Kyoto.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But so, I mean, she tried to kind of average it out a little bit. And then so we spent a little bit more in some places than we did at others. But this is one of the places where we kind of had to, we wanted to keep expenses a little bit less. So the three of us stayed together. We each got our own double bed, which was kind of nice.
Oh, it's not bad.
Except there was one night when they went out sake tasting and came back. And my brother apparently snores so loud.
Oh.
I had 5 layers of stuff on my head, and I was ready to throw something very big and heavy at him. I told Jenna that I almost made her a widow.
Darn it.
Because that's like my days in the military are long over. However, I still could kill somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has she
I
been
much
living
prefer
with
sleeping
that?
in my own room. Thank you.
Man, oh man, oh man.
That is tough. Cheryl's told me too that when I have alcohol, I will snore like a
Oh,
beast. Yeah. Without the alcohol, I'm fine,
Yeah.
but put a couple of those beers in me, leisure enthusiast,
those are
and I'm a snorer. Yeah, absolutely. But
Oh, yeah.
Kyoto, I've heard obviously the beautiful temples in Kyoto, great to visit. But I've also heard Cosette from some people, maybe it was you, Crystal, that they're really crowded.
Yeah. There are people everywhere, but there are also
yeah.
temples like literally everywhere. We took this little so my sister-in-law Jenna loves stamps of all kinds. And earning them is even better, right? If there's like a little scavenger hunt or something you need to do and you earn this little tiny badge, she loves that stuff. So there's a tram that goes out to Arishiyama, which is a lot of people know this is where like the bamboo forest, things like that are. And we ended up going there. I mean, we were going to go there. But if you make it to these 4 different stops on this tram, you get these stamps, and all the stamps together make this postcard of a picture of the tram that you're on, right?
Oh,
Oh,
So every
immediately
stop you have to get off.
cute.
you had to do
Yeah.
it.
So you,
Oh,
well,
I
of
would
course,
have
I mean,
done
that was on her
that.
list, and she's the stamp girl. And so I was like, yeah, this is fun.
Stamp.
So at all of these stops, you could get off, and like literally just in the neighborhood, there's these temples that you could just walk through. And so those are not crowded at all. There's maybe 1 or 2 other people there. But they are also the ones that the locals actually still use. So you have to, I
Oh.
mean, for all of these, you have to be respectful, obviously, but it's just, you'll see actual people coming in and going to pray and doing these things. And you just see like some of the coolest stuff. And you know that they've been there forever because they have all of these like wooden statues that you can tell are just weathered and, you know, have been there for hundreds of years. And so some of them, yeah, all the ones that everybody knows about are going to be really crowded because everybody's there. But then you can have one just down the street from you that you can just walk around, and they're so cool.
What's the bamboo forest all about?
It's literally a bamboo forest. It's just a big
Wow, that's how they
forest
got the
of
name.
really tall bamboo.
Yeah, that's
It is, yeah, very very creative people.
That's descriptive.
Yeah, well, so it's in Arishiyama, which is a big tourist place to go because you also have, well, spoiler alert, everything that you want to do is on top of a mountain. So I climbed almost all the mountains in Japan. I tell people that
Wow.
I probably walked halfway to the moon on my trip to Japan because everything is up. Literally everything is up. So when you go to Arishiyama, they have a bamboo forest there, but they also have monkeys. You can go up to the mountain and see the monkeys, which we did. And these are not friendly monkeys.
I didn't do that.
There's actually a big sign that says, do not point your phone at them or look at them. And Jenna
Wow.
did not see that sign.
Oh no.
So there was a monkey like standing right next to us. And there was also a monkey further away. So I was taking a picture of this monkey that was far away. And all of a sudden I hear her like shriek a little bit because
Uh-oh.
she had just bent down and got right up there with her phone to this monkey. And it's a live picture. So, you know, when you can hold the live and you can see it move, you could see it coming at her and it grabbed onto her pants and like wouldn't let her go. She has like monkey paw prints all over her pants. And me and my brother were like, didn't you see the sign? And she's like, no, I saw the
What
other signs, but I
sign?
didn't see that sign.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
Wow.
don't look at those monkeys. But it was cool. You go into this little like building and you can actually feed them through like the fence. So you can buy like little peanuts and apples. So they're all out there for you to feed them, things like that. So that was fun. And then they have the bamboo
no.
That
forest
would
where
be
you
fun.
walk through. It's really cool. And then they had this big banana that you could sit on and take pictures, and you know they went hard into the monkeys.
Interesting.
And then as we were coming down the mountain, we saw that people were renting rowboats on the river, and my
Ooh.
brother was like, "You want to go rowing?" Like, yeah.
Yes.
So we made my brother be the rower, and then we noticed
Of
that my
course.
brother was looking around. He was like, "You know, I'm seeing a lot of women here that are rowing the men." And we were looking around like, yeah,
Not on this
we see
boat.
that too. Keep rowing.
Yeah, that's
See on
super neat,
Bronco?
isn't it?
Yeah, it's so nice
Oh wow.
for them. There
You
was one little tiny woman in the middle of two gigantic men, and she was rowing them.
Oh my
Wow.
It's kind of
goodness.
funny.
That's too much.
You
No.
you also mentioned before this, you wrote to us that you did some stuff that left to your own devices and you plan this trip, you wouldn't have done it. What are some of the things that you did that ended up being badass that you wouldn't have done, Cosette?
Well, again, it's Jenna. So when we first
Aw.
got to Korea, I forgot to mention this. We went into a temple, and you can rent traditional hanbok clothing. So it's what they would have worn back in the days of when that temple was being used. And you look around and everybody's wearing this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's weird. And she's like, yeah, we can rent it. We can wear it. If you ask anybody if I would be put in a dress, they'd be like, how's that in a dress? Hell no.
Like hard
Wow.
pass.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, okay, let's do it, so
Wow.
we went and rented it, and they dress you all up in, in these clothes. And then we did the same thing in Japan with kimono. So we
Huh.
got all dressed up, and I had two ladies like literally just dressing me in all these layers. And I told Jenna, I was like, I feel like what royalty probably felt like back in the day, where like
Huh.
I'm just holding my arms out and they're dressing me. And then we just walked around the gardens in Japan in our little kimono. It was a lot of fun.
How are the
Love that.
restaurants in Japan?
They're really cool. What I thought was kind of weird is I knew before we went that they don't really like it when you just take up space there, right? You come in, you eat, you leave. And a lot of the places there, everything they have kind of has meat in it. So if I wanted to go and hang out with them while they ate, I felt weird just sitting there. Like I didn't want to do that. So I would just get food, and I was like, you know what? I'm probably gonna have to at least have like some kind of beef broth or something in my ramen, which it's fine for me. Like I always did it for health purposes, nothing else. So I actually ate a lot of ramen, and I would just like pick out of the big pieces of meat and give it to my brother, which I'm sure he was happy
Loved.
about. So yeah, it was just kind of like go in, and a lot of them you order from like the vending machine first or whatever, and you get like this ticket, and then you sit down, and then they'll bring you your food. um they don't really accommodate a lot of dietary restrictions, so don't expect that. They give you what they give you, and half the time they can't tell you what's in it because they don't speak the language. We did go to a few traditional ones where you actually, you take your shoes off, and the
Yep.
table is like you sit on the floor, and they just bring you food, and it was amazing.
That's cool.
One of the best ones that I went to, it was in Nagano, and it was just they don't have a menu. You just sit down, and they feed you. And so I
Wow.
assumed that I wasn't going to be eating there because I assumed that later we would just be going for sushi when I felt hungry. So I wasn't even
Sure.
hungry when we went. It was the best food I've ever had. She asked, she was like, does
What?
everybody have anything? And my sister-in-law's like, she doesn't eat meat. And the lady's like, you eat fish? I'm like, yeah, I eat fish. They just brought out this big bowl
Oh.
for everybody to eat out of, and literally everything I had was like and they keep bringing food and bringing food
Oh,
and bringing
wow.
food, and yeah, I was stuffed. It was probably one of the best dining experiences that I've ever had, actually.
Uh,
It was
That
pretty
sounds
cool.
great.
uh, a, a documentary series that's on Amazon that I watch, really fun. James May, who's one of the uh,
My
car
set. Mm-hmm.
car guys, those British car guys. He y- y- that Man in Japan thing, he talked about his experience with the vending machines, and his point, Cosette, was that in most countries you can kind of grok if they use the same letters that we use, like what it is. Like you can kind of figure out, okay, this is fish, this is beef, this is chicken. He said, but because everything looks like the pound sign, he's like, I have no idea. It's very difficult. That's what, did you find that difficult too when you're ordering from this menu where there's it isn't the same alphabet we use?
The best thing that has ever been invented is Google Translate.
Oh,
So I use this for everything, as well as an app called Payki. And Google Translate you can just hold it up, and it will like show you like what you're looking at, and then just translate that into English, but also like in the same kind of writing or where
Font,
it is and
yeah.
what it says. So you can see, you can very easily understand. And then if it tells you what it is and you still are like, but I don't know what horse mackerel is, then you can just Google it.
That's
But yeah,
fabulous.
the best thing is Google Translate. It helps immensely
What was
with
the other
everything
app?
up there.
What was the other app?
It's
Pay-
called
pay-
it's called Payke. It's Payke. And what
Mm.
that does is you scan any barcode and it will tell you what that thing is. So when I was like in 7-Eleven or Family Mart or whatever, and you're looking through all these things, you can scan it and it will show you whatever you're looking at. It will break down like what this is, where it's mostly sold, what it has in it, all that kind of stuff.
Now, my
Jenna
daughter
is the one who
said the
found that one.
seven.
It was great.
That's cool. My daughter said the 7-Eleven experience in Japan is amazing compared to in the United States.
Yeah, it's not it doesn't
Souvenirs
seem to
too.
strictly be a 7-Eleven. Yeah, like we went to all the it was 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and there was one other one that they're all kind of the same and they all sell kind of the same things. And my brother doesn't drink coffee, he only drinks energy drinks, and he could not find ones that he liked. So until we got like Family Mart was the one that carried, his
Finally.
brand. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that is
every
funny.
time there was a Family Mart, we had to go there instead of 7-Eleven because they didn't have his brand.
Anything else in Kyoto before we move on to Tokyo?
Yes, the ninja experience.
The
my
ninja
brother told me-
experience. By the
Yeah.
way, I get the ninja experience every time I record with Crystal. That's what we call this, the ninja experience.
You must have very good skills. So they found this and it's like a ninja class, right? And just like everything that we did in Japan, it way surpassed anything we could have even considered that they would be doing for us. Like all of the things that we booked that were an hour ended up an hour and a half, or they just went above and beyond with everything we did.
Aw.
But the ninja experience, we walked up and they literally dress you in ninja clothes. So you have like, again, 3 people dressing you and then tying all your stuff together, and you get to put on a bandana and like you look like a ninja by the time you're done. And it's in like this, like on a 3rd floor little area. And he just teaches you how to be a ninja, like legitimately. Like they had a wall that when you push it, it just spins around. So he taught you how to like hide in the wall if somebody came into your house. And
Wow.
you got to play around with swords, and he taught you how to throw shuriken, which is the little throwing stars, and
Oh,
you got
the
to do blow
stars.
darts.
Oh my
And he taught
God.
you how to walk like a ninja. And
That's
and then he had all these
cool.
really old antique like tools and things that ninjas would actually use. So, and he was a great instructor. Like, just like most, when I think of really cool like Japanese or Korean guys, they always have that bit of humor to them, and everything
Mhm.
they do. And yeah, so he was funny. He taught us like there's these hand symbols to be a ninja. And so he taught us those, and which I don't remember. My brother actually studied them because he thought they were really cool.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
I would've
But yeah,
done
we
that.
got to play ninja. It was
All right.
Yeah, I would have
awesome.
done that.
I would totally want to
Mhm.
do that. What does an experience like that cost roughly? Do you remember at all?
Ask Jenna.
Because I'm not I'm not the one
Yeah.
who booked it, but I do remember talking to them about it, and it really was not that expensive at all. Most of the things that we booked were like when they told me how much it was, I was like, "What? For that? I will do that 100 times." It was just it was great. And I think she used booking.com for most of these things. So they were
Okay.
all on the website. It wasn't hard to find these things either.
That's cool. That's great. All right. Now we move it on to Tokyo.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
get back
did
on.
so much stuff. This would be
Yeah,
a 3-hour
this is
podcast if I
great.
told
I know you get back on the
everything.
train. Well, let's start off with this about Tokyo because I think
Oh
we
wait,
can.
no, not Tokyo. Tokyo is the end.
Okay.
Where we want to go probably. I did go to Kanazawa after that
Oh.
for a day. We stayed at a really nice hotel here. They had an onsen, which Jenna got to partake in, but me and my brother have a lot of tattoos, and you have to be able to cover up your tattoos with patches that are like this big.
Oh,
Oh.
And so
wow.
they asked us, they were like, "How many patches do you want?" And I looked at my body and I was
How many you
like,
got?
11.
I would need 3 packs of those. Like,
Yeah.
because you're
Oh.
supposed to be naked, right? And you don't have anything on.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
like, I wouldn't be naked anymore. I'd be
For
just covered in patches.
for people that don't know what an onsen
Skin.
is, what
Right.
is an onsen?
It's a public bath.
Yep.
So when we go up to Shibo Onsen, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm sure, it's hot springs that they make into like a hot tub or a hot bath. But in the hotels, they're just essentially like a big hot tub for everybody to get into. And so Jenna booked all of these places that had onsens because she's like, "Oh, this sounds
Naked.
great. We're gonna do this." And then she's the only one who got to do any of them.
You and your brother hanging out outside
Yep. Yeah.
while she's getting
That is
the
the thing about Japan is like if you do have a lot of tattoos, the good thing about it being cold when we went there and us being covered up, we got to do pretty much everything and we didn't really have to think about our tattoos. But I think
Oh.
if you go in the summer and if you're not wearing any, that's something that you want to be cognizant of because you could go into like a restaurant or anywhere and they could turn you away because they are not really big on tattoos. So
Yeah, and culturally too. I know my daughter when she was on the train going to the classes that she was teaching, she always talked about speaking on the train. People don't do that, but was it the
oh,
same on the bullet train? Was it very quiet on the bullet train too, or can you talk on that train?
They don't really like you to talk a lot, and then when
Yeah.
people
I
do,
don't.
they talk pretty quietly. They also like in normal trains like subway stuff like that, you're not supposed to wear your backpack. And one thing I didn't, so a lot of the research that I did, like I knew this stuff going in. What I didn't know until I got there is that they don't like it when you walk and eat. So one of the things about
Oh.
traveling is
Hmm.
that you hop into a 7-Eleven for an egg sandwich, which everybody has to eat one of those by the way. And you
Mm.
can't just on like take it apart and just go on with your day and walk and eat
Yeah,
because they don't like that there.
you don't
And
do
there
that.
are some
Oh.
places like temples and things where it actually has a sign that says that. But for the most part, they don't it's not allowed anywhere really.
There was somebody else we were talking to, Crystal, where somebody was
Huh.
saying that, walking around with a cup of coffee is a very American thing. Like going to
Mm,
Starbucks and getting a cup of coffee, like you can identify an American because they're the only ones doing that. Nobody walks around with coffee like we do. Um,
mhm.
Hmm.
okay. So you go to the onsen, you get to wave it at your sister-in-law while she's inside and you guys are
Yep.
looking through the window. Where are we off to next?
So from Kanazawa, we just kind of stayed overnight in Kanazawa because it got us that much closer to Shibu Onsen, which is in Nagano, which is the highlight of the trip.
Ah.
Uh, I don't even know how to put into words how awesome it was. So I'm from Wisconsin and I am born, raised into snow.
Wisconsin.
And it's also the reason that I live in Phoenix because I don't ever want to see
No
snow ever
thanks.
again in my life. And
I
so
think you're
when they
related to
told
my
me it was gonna
spouse. Yeah.
That's funny.
no, I've seen enough of it. Don't ever have to see any of it ever again. But we go up to Nagano, which is, I mean, it's in the mountains, right? It's
Sure.
high up there. So we knew it was
Olympics.
going to be cold. Yep. Yeah. They still have the stadium up there, I
Oh,
think.
cool.
Um,
Ah.
so again, there's another challenge for us with stamps. So of course, Jenna wanted to do it. So when you say in
Yes.
Shibu Onsen, it's this area of 9 different hot springs that they've made into these little onsens. And the only people who can go into them
Mm.
is people who are staying in the area or who live there. But they have this challenge that you do all 9 baths. And then when you're done with them, you go up to the temple that they have to pray. And then good luck will come your way or that prayer will come true, something like that. But
Oh.
the important part of his story is that there's stamps involved, right? So
Yes. Of course.
we get this towel. Of course, you have to buy the towel, but then outside of every one, there's stamps, and they're split up, female and male, but they're very small. So me and my brother could actually go in them because we weren't offending a whole bunch of people. It was pretty much just us. So it was the only onsens that we can get into, but they were definitely the ones to be in. And each one is like a different heat. Some of them are so hot you can barely stay in. Some of them are like no big deal. And they're all supposed to heal or cure something different. Like one of them was for eczema, and one of them was for, I don't know what they all were, but
Interesting.
because we were only staying over one night, we had to do this challenge in one
Oh,
night. And this was right
quickly.
after we had stayed at the place that we had the people just feeding us
Yeah.
that had no menu. And that, so this is Shibu Onsen as well. And that's the best meal I've ever had. And I don't even know the name of this place. But it was the people where we're staying. They told us, they're like, go here. There's no menu. They just feed you.
Huh.
And like, this guy came out, cigarette in his mouth, bandana, pouring alcohol, and they were so cool. They were telling my brother and Jenna to go have babies. And I'm like, no, we're staying in the same room.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Tonight. Please, not
Not
tonight.
tonight. And then he brought over this huge glass, and he's like, iced tea, and he gives it to my brother. And I knew it wasn't iced tea.
Oh.
I thought my brother was smart enough to know it wasn't iced tea.
Oh my goodness.
And my brother shoots it back. He's like, that
Oh,
wasn't
no.
iced tea. I was like, I know it wasn't iced tea. But of course, so everybody at the table got iced tea, and like
Oh my
they were just
goodness.
characters. They were such great people that we stayed there for a
Aw.
while. And then after that is when we had to start this 9 bath challenge. But they closed the baths at a certain time. And so we literally would go in one, we'd sit there for a minute, and there's just a wall in between the male and female. So we would call over and be like, Garrett, you ready?
Yep.
Like,
Time to
yeah.
go.
And then we'd get out and go to the next one. Or sometimes like ours was full and his wasn't. So he would go in one and we would go in another. So we had almost made it. We were like 3 minutes away from the last one. And we go, and the people who were coming out were like, we just got almost locked in.
Oh.
Like they shut off the lights on us and we could
no.
barely get out. So we're like, okay, so we didn't finish the last one. So then we're like, well, now we have to get up early in the morning before we go see monkeys, which is what we're gonna do.
Because you got to get the
And I'm
sticker.
not,
Stamp.
you have
Or the
to
stamp.
finish. I
'Cause you
mean,
gotta
you
get
can't,
the
yeah,
stamp.
You can't go 8.
you can't do 8 out of 9. No.
No
Right.
way.
So we get up early, and we were staying all in the same room again. This is one that had traditional beds, so you're literally laying on the floor. And we had closed all the drapes and everything, but the bathrooms are community bathrooms. So I left the room before the other two did. And I went and brushed my teeth, did whatever. And as I'm passing this huge window, I look outside and there is like snow. It's not like a little bit of snow. It wasn't supposed to snow.
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
And it wasn't just a
snow.
little bit, a little dusting. It was a lot of fucking snow.
Aw.
And I looked at it,
No.
and like I'm sure my eyes bulged out of my head, and I ran to the room and I was like, you guys, it snowed. And I like pull the drapes open, and there's all like this huge winter wonderland. Like I haven't seen this stuff since I
Wow.
lived in Wisconsin. It was
April.
so much snow. And the only thing I have for my feet are just like Skechers tennis shoes, and they're
Oh,
mesh on
no.
top.
Oh,
Ouch.
And we're
no.
gonna be climbing a mountain to go see these monkeys. Which so, and then not only that, but when you're going to these baths, you're just in a robe and sandals.
Yep.
So I had bare feet, clip clopping along on these little like cobblestones. I have a little bag with my stuff in it, and I'm just like shivering just to get to this last bath. And we're standing like it was beautiful, but I was like, oh God, this is the first time I've seen snow in 10
Ouch.
years. And I'm in
That's
sandals.
funny.
But we finished the challenge, and then we had to
Yay.
like book it back in order to go see the monkeys, because we had they give you a shuttle. So yeah, I'm like, I can't believe it snowed. This is just absolutely crazy. And
I
we were
thought
kinda-
the story was going to end in how Cosette got frostbite.
oh, I came pretty close. I came
Oh,
very
no.
close. Well, so then we get ready to leave, and my brother and Jenna pull out boots. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't think
Right.
of boots.
The
What is wrong?
memo.
I knew it was going to be cold. I thought it was going to be rainy. So why I didn't think of boots? I just brought a second pair of shoes in case my first got wet. But so all of the locals were amazed that it had snowed. It wasn't supposed to. And we weren't even sure, because these are called snow monkeys, and they only come down the mountain
Oh.
when it snows. So we weren't sure that we would see a whole lot of them. Because what this place is this guy has been feeding these monkeys for a long time, and he built them a hot tub. And I know I've seen it before in like National Geographic or on like calendars or stuff like that, where the monkeys are just sitting in the hot tub and there's snow all over the place. Those are the snow monkeys. So, but you have to hike up this mountain in the snow, and I'm in my Skechers,
Wow.
and like my feet were wet. Every part of me was wet and cold. But once I got there, these weren't the mean monkeys. They weren't the ones that you couldn't aim your camera at or anything like that, because they've
Wow.
just been around people feeding them for so long that they're just indifferent to you.
Hmm.
And the first rule is you need to stay a meter away from them. But they're literally walking right next to you or standing next to you. And I'm like, did anybody tell the monkeys about this 1 meter rule? Because they're right here. But
Wow.
it was the greatest experience to just sit there. And we had got there early enough that there wasn't really a crowd. So we got to just pretty much sit right next to the hot tub and hang out with the monkeys. One of them got out and just sat right next to me. There's this little baby one that got out and just went on a fence like right in front of my brother's face. So he's got some cool pictures, but
Wow.
my toes like started freezing off. So I was
Oh,
like, you
no.
guys, I
Oh
need to go
my
back inside.
goodness.
And then so Jenna walked back with me and she's like, okay, Garrett's gonna stay out here because he was mesmerized by the monkeys.
Sure.
It was amazing. It was one of the coolest experience ever. Definitely once in a lifetime.
That's the time when it would suck, when you're like, I'm loving this, but I cannot stay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the worst part of it is at the very bottom of the mountain before you walk out, they had a shoe rental place. And Jenna even pointed it out. I had been looking for a scarf and a hat the whole time I had been there. I hadn't found one. I'm like, screw it now. Like,
Yeah.
I have a hoodie. I'll be fine. And she was like, shoe rental. And I was like, it'll be okay. Because I didn't think we trekked up there a lot, and I didn't think we would be there for that long. And so looking back, obviously, I would have rented boots or shoes or something. But I went back in and I warmed up a little bit, and they weren't out there for too much longer. You know, I wasn't waiting for them for too long, but yeah, my brother, I think if you could have left him out there like
He'd
for
still
2
be there
days, he would
today.
have been just fine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was just so cool. You got to watch them swimming around and like just chilling. Like they look like people, like literally just hanging out there and like, oh, it's so nice and warm. It was once in a lifetime. Absolutely. If anybody can go up there and do that when it's snowing,
That's
do
super.
it.
That's super. We're not going to spend much time in Tokyo looking at the time, but really we don't have to, because you really don't care, Cosette. You were not that impressed with your time in Tokyo.
No, I think we spent like 3 or 4 days there. We had, up until we went to Tokyo, we had been like every day was an adventure, and it was like almost better than the day before, and so much stuff. We went to a calligraphy class. We did all this kind of stuff. And then we get to Tokyo, and it was our plan to go and kind of visit all of the different neighborhoods. I wanted to go to Harajuku just because, I mean, you hear about it all the time, and the Harajuku girls and stuff like that, and how outrageously they're dressed and things like that. But then when we got to the Takashita Street, I think is what it's called. All it is it's just tourists,
People.
and they're all jam packed in there. And like, yeah, I've seen you have the same pictures as I have.
Yeah.
It's just people on top of people on top of people. And it's the most crowded that anything ever felt to me was when I was in Tokyo. And most of the stuff that we saw was just okay. Like we really, my brother started getting anxious, and so he wanted to go to go see Mount Fuji. So we went out to, God, what was the name of that place? I don't even know where we went. Anyway, well, there's a place that's like 2 hours away, and it's got like a lake, and they actually have a pirate ship that you can go on, and it goes around the lake, and you can usually see Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
But it was so I looked at the day before, I looked at the temperature, and it said it was 31 degrees, real feel 11.
Holy.
So then yeah. And me being in love with the cold as I am, I was like, we need clothes. So we actually went to, like, they had an H&M and stuff like that. So
you
we
went
walked
shopping,
around, like just looking for clothes. Yeah. I literally had 7 layers on when we went there.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, as we're going out there, it's 2 hours away from Tokyo where we were staying. And I asked my brother, I was like, are we going to be able to actually see Mount Fuji? Because it's kind of rainy and like, foggy. Sure. He's like, nothing says that we wouldn't be able to see it. And then we get there.
Nature said it.
We
you didn't see
absolutely nothing. We saw a
Oh,
lot of other people getting wet and cold is what we saw.
yikes.
We have a picture.
But it was a welcome relief.
That's funny. We had the same thing. Just getting out of the city, you mean, and just being, yeah. We
I saw it.
when we were at Denali, we have a picture. We took the bus all the way to Wonder Lake, which is way, way, way into Denali. Took half a day to get there. And we have a picture of our kids because you can only see the mountain about 20% of the time. And so the entire time we were there, we did not see the mountain. And we are like at the base of the mountain. So we have a picture of our twins pointing into the cloud where we know that the mountain is right there, but you
Somewhere.
can't see it. We're like, there's the mountain.
Yeah,
Cute.
we have that same picture. I have a selfie of me, Jenna, and Garrett, and Jenna and Garrett have like their hands above them in a point, like where Mount Fuji should be.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It was like,
Poor
yeah, that's where
things.
Mount Fuji is.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it was great.
Okay. You alluded to this. We need one more story because you alluded to this. On the way home, you said it
Right.
was good that you had the aisle seat. Well, why is that, Cosette?
Yeah. I was in the military for a while, and I flew back and forth from Korea quite a few times. I've flown lots of places for very long. I mean, when I went and deployed to Afghanistan, like long flights, never had a problem. Well, I
Hmm.
don't know if it was something I ate the night before we left or what. Like I got up, I was feeling fine. We didn't fly out until 5 p.m. that day. Took a shower, talked to some people. I chugged a bunch of water, and it was the first thing in my stomach all day. Immediately came right back up.
Wow.
And from that point on, the whole travel, that's all I did. I've never thrown up on a plane before in my life. And this
Wow.
literally, it was like constant. We weren't even completely in the air yet.
Oh,
Like they
man.
made the ding sound so that all of the flight attendants could get up and start moving around, but you know, we aren't allowed to at that time. And I immediately got up and I started to go to the bathroom. She's like, seatbelt sign is off. Seatbelt sign is off. It's not on. You can't get up. And I was like, I need to throw up. And she's like, seatbelt sign. I was like, I need to throw up. And she's like, okay. And she like shoved me in the bathroom. And luckily I was only like 3 rows away from it.
Oh no.
And then I come back, I sit down. I'm like, uh-oh. And I get up
Oh.
again. And she's like, seatbelt sign. I was like, throw up. So this time when I came out, she gave me a huge trash bag and some ginger ale.
Oh god.
And then must have obviously told the other flight attendants because somebody else came out and was like, we're going to be in the aisle now giving people food. So you can't get up. So here's another trash bag
Oh, my
and paper
goodness.
towels. It was literally the whole thing, like the
Oh,
whole
no.
travel, not only from Tokyo to San Francisco, but
Are you
also
sitting next to a
here
stranger?
in Arizona. Oh yeah.
You're sitting
Yeah.
next to a stranger while you're hurling on the plane.
Oh
Feel
yeah.
like she partied hard.
Luckily,
She
it
partied
wasn't
a
like
rock
loud or
star.
anything. It was just like it was very quiet, and I tried to stay in my little bubble. But I had this trash bag like tucked into the thing in front of me. Like clearly, everybody knew what was
No.
happening.
I should laugh because
And-
it's so
Oh.
horrifying and it's
No, it
not
was-
funny,
yeah.
but oh my God.
No.
I just, if I'm the person sitting next to you, Cosette, I'm like,
Oh
just
God, I felt
drip,
so bad for everybody. I just tried to like
drip.
make it like so nobody could tell. And then it's funny because we were on a layover in San Francisco, and my brother and Jenna were going to fly out an hour earlier than me. And so they got to explore the airports, which I did not get to, and I really wanted to in Japan. But
Oh, yeah.
I was a mess.
Get a bunch of
Um,
those Kit Kats, all those different Kit Kats.
Yeah, I wanted just all the cool things, you know?
Yeah.
And so they went off but when we were in San Francisco, I was like, okay, before you guys leave, just come and say goodbye. And I was talking to my brother, and he's like, you know, what's cool is that Japan is 16 hours ahead of us, right? So in reality, we got a 40-hour day. And I was like, Garrett, today is not the day that I want to be living for 40 hours.
Oh.
I'd
He's
rather
like,
had today be an
"Yeah,
hour and a
that
half,
sucks."
right?
Yes. Oh my
That
God. And
sucks.
I don't like, I really didn't eat anything the night before. So I have no idea what it could have been.
What
If it was, I don't know, but it literally, the poor flight attendants kept trying to give me like, will you at least eat a banana? And I'm like,
Mm.
no, And because I don't eat meat, I had a special
Food,
meal on
yeah.
the flight.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, if you can do that, even if you do eat meat, you get your food first.
Yes,
so
right.
do that all
Yeah.
the time. But yeah, so they would bring me my food and be like, "This is yours, right?" I'm like, "Uh-huh, but you need to get that away from me." They're like, "What?
Aw.
No, eat
Just
it."
the
No,
smell
no,
was
no, no,
making
no.
you nauseous.
Oh,
Damn.
yeah, especially like with everybody else having their food around me.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so it took me a good like 4 or 5 days to recover
Oh,
from that. It's the only
no.
vacation that I've ever lost weight from, and I don't think it was just because of the illness. I think it was just all of the walking around.
All
as
the
well that we
walking.
did. It was crazy. Yeah, I
I
lost like
like
10 pounds.
that. I like
Okay.
that part. The one.
Cosette's weight loss journey.
Yes, yeah, that's how you do it.
Brought to you by Jenna.
That's all.
Yes.
Planned
right.
by.
That's right. Oh, that's so great, Cosette. That's awesome. What a great trip. Just trip of a lifetime. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Oh, for
Thank
sure.
you for sharing.
Absolutely.
I want to
Well,
do
and
a
I
lot
love
of
it.
these things.
And I think, Crystal, there's something to this fact that when you don't plan it and you just got to do some stuff
Go
that's a
along
little
for
bit
the
outside
ride.
of the boundary of what you would do, that makes it even that much more special as well.
I
That's
agree.
Absolutely. There was even a time when I was like, we were trudging the hill, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm so glad that Jenna could get me out of my comfort zone so that I can experience all this hiking."
Oh,
That's
But it was
awesome.
like a lot of it was really hard, but it was also like really fun, and I'm glad I did
yeah.
it.
All right, the music's
Love
coming
that.
back up, which means it's time for the gear of the day. Cosette, your hint was something about staying energized, if I remember right.
Keeps you energized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps you energized. Snickers bar. It's a Snickers bar.
Oh,
No.
that's satisfied.
I'm gonna go with a power bank.
Condoms.
She brought back the condoms from that hotel.
I did.
That was it.
Yeah,
Yes.
stick with my essential
Could-
oil spray.
Could you see that in our gear of the day
Gear of the
store?
day.
Condoms. We got condoms, and we always say these have been tested by either us or our.
Used.
Oh, we've tried these condoms. They're incredible. Yeah, maybe not. And yours was an essential oil.
Yeah, some spray, like my
Okay.
focus spray over there.
All right, Cosette, what do you got?
Joe is correct. It is a power bank. We were constantly on our phones.
Ah.
We needed them for everything, like Apple Pay and navigation and
Yeah.
tickets, all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I brought mine with me everywhere I went. It
Couldn't
came in
afford
handy
to
many
lose
times.
it. Yeah.
Was there a specific one
Yeah.
that you liked?
Well, the one that I brought, really liked, but then Garrett and Jenna had just a small one that's like a MagSafe one that just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
attaches itself
sticks
to the back of your phone. And that one, and it was
Yeah.
a lot smaller than the one that I had too. So for sure, like if I were gonna do it again, I would buy one of those.
Yeah, that's the more I use them, the more I'm like, I want one smaller, please. It's funny
Oh, yeah.
because nobody's ever high-fiving each other going, I pack so much stuff. Like the more you travel, the more you're like, I got it all in this little tiny
Mhm.
spot. Well, thanks for hanging out. And by the way, thanks for your service too. Just you've been all over the world doing some crazy stuff with the military and I gotta imagine go back to
Yes.
Korea without a uniform is a little bit different trip.
Completely different, 180 degrees. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I thought I had that one down for sure, but then I got there. I was like, no, being a civilian is a lot different when you're in a different country.
It's a different deal.
Cool.
All right, adventurers. We've already had a Japan your story, so we are not going to have your stories. We will have a potpourri
Right, so
episode
you can
coming
still
up. So if you
share.
have more Japan stories like
Yes,
Cosette's,
please.
please, you'll have 5 minutes on our voicemail to tell your story. And Crystal, where do people leave that?
Yep, at stackingadventures.com/mystory. We want to hear
Awesome.
from you.
Coming up next, we have some just exciting shows. In fact, let me see where this is,
I wrote-
because this is next week. But then is Chris next after that? Belize? Nope. Chris and Belize just happened. 3, 2, 1.
got-
Yep. Cruises.
We've got cruises.
Next week, Donna Peltier, Crystal joins us for Cruising 101.
Cruising.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Something you. Oh yeah, you know it.
I do. So we're talking cruising next week. All right. She is Cosette. She is Crystal.
And I'm Joe.
And
He's Joe.
and now we'll take the show off the road.
Yep. Pack it up. Pack it up. Pack it in. Let me begin.
Let me begin.
And
Thanks for hanging out
scene.
with us, leisure enthusiasts.
Yes, everybody.
today.
Thanks for the chat. That was so fun.
VT.
VT hanging out with us on the
Wild
can.
chat.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't have to see that.
I know.
Yes. Oh man.
I'm glad we couldn't hear the question. Are the
Yes.
toilets the same in?
Right.
In Japan? All right,
Quick
everybody.
mute and unmute.
Yes. Cosette and Crystal, hang on. We're going to say goodbye to everybody here.